Oh, hello. I guess we need to get a musical talent in here so I'm not humming my own theme song. Well, speaking of interesting forms of entertainment, E3 is underway. So, the Great Gaming Conference, it's basically a big entertainment expo, is hosting some interesting things, particularly, in this case, from AMD. Now, at Computex, AMD unveiled their new Polaris flagship card, the RX 480. Now, a lot of people were expecting a 490, but as it happens, now we know there will not be a 490. But maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing, and I think I understand what's going on here. AMD has looked at the market, and they're perfectly happy to say, all right, NVIDIA, you want to go up in the stratosphere and sell $600-700 cards, have at it. It's a niche market, to be sure. There are a few people that will buy them. They will pay any price for the ultimate performance, and I'm guilty of being that person. Oh boy. Yeah, I've spent more than I should have on graphics processing units. Heck, the one that I'm using right now is a GTX 980 Ti. It's a G1 overclocked one from Gigabyte. And that's part of the reason why the 480 is so exciting, because the 480, if the reports can be believed, we've seen an alleged Firestrike demonstration test that scores it at just below an NVIDIA GTX 980. But keep in mind, AMD's reference card is supposed to be targeted at the $200 range, or $199 if you want to be more specific. But let's say $200. Their partner cards will probably be a bit more. NVIDIA did the opposite. They made their reference board more expensive than the partners, so the partners get to be $100 cheaper. AMD is allowing the partners to be $100 more expensive. And they actually did a presentation at E3 where they said their reason for this strategy is that, from their own research, 80% of the market or so is people buying video cards that are from $100 to $300. That's the bulk of the market. So AMD is going for that. They're going for the throat. If the 480 can really do NVIDIA GTX 980 performance, but do it for $200, well, heck, I'm not even sure who's going to buy those partner boards. I mean, if you could get that reference card for $200 and get that kind of performance, I mean, granted, that's probably going to be the 4 gig model. The RX 480 is supposed to come in both 4 gigabyte and 8 gigabyte flavors. So I'm guessing all the partners will probably want to make, 8 gigabyte models, whereas, the reference ones will be 4. But, 4 is still not too bad. I mean, there are not very many games right now that are really going to push it beyond the 4 gigabyte limit. Now, I know what they're doing is they want to set up the 480 for, VR gaming and stuff. But again, niche market. I don't know anybody with a VR headset. There are some games that support VR, but it's few and far between. I think that the RX 480 will probably have greater success just being a Dynamite 1080p card. That's where they're probably going. Now, at E3, like I said, the 480 was unveiled at Computex not too long ago in Taipei, Taiwan. So now at E3, we have not the 490, because sadly there won't be a 490, but we do have a 470 and a 460. Now, the 460 is interesting because it had the ones that they showed, at least the chairman or CEO, I forget what her title is, of AMD, was showing off a card that had no external power connectors. So this is a board-powered card. Finally, AMD looks like they have an answer to the venerable GTX 750 Ti, which has been a dynamite card. I have been buying a couple of those things, particularly those EVGA ones that have no external connectors. They're completely board-powered. Great for older computers with small power supplies. The 750 Ti has been a winner. But that chipset's a little old in the tooth, and if we can get Polaris anything and stuff it in there, that would probably be a bit better, because You know, it's probably, yeah, this is just me guesstimating because we have no performance numbers, but, you know, if the 480 is around the 980 class, just under it, I'm going to take a wild guess and say the RX 460 is probably going to come in under the GTX 960. If it comes anywhere near it, it'll be a winner, especially if the reference board is going for $200 for the 480. Wow. What is the 470 and the 460 going to cost? It'd be nice if they were 150 and 100 respectively. You know, if it really does have performance that's on par with, say, a 960, but it's down there in the $100 price range, and like I said, if the 480 can really do 980 performance in the $200 price range, the reference cards alone will sell like hotcakes. So if you're considering buying a new card, wait. Just wait. And even if you still want to stick with an NVIDIA card, even if you're not jazzed up about Radeon cards for whatever reason, because it's almost like a religious thing. Some people are like, oh, NVIDIA is all I will ever buy. And I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of it, and I hate to admit it. There have been a lot of games that favored NVIDIA. This is partly NVIDIA's fault. They would go to the game manufacturers, and at the last second, NVIDIA would introduce, they would convince the game manufacturers to introduce NVIDIA-specific technologies at the last second. Witcher 3, Hairworks, was just at the last possible moment. Oh, it plays best on NVIDIA. Kicking poor AMD in the teeth over and over and over and over again. So, our little Polaris GPUs, you know, like I said, the 480 is the top of the top. AMD is not going to bother with that stratospheric segment of people, you know, that are buying crazy cards. They're just going to say, you know what? You can have that little niche market, AMD. NVIDIA. We want the 80% of the market that buys all the other cards. So they're kidney punching them. And like I said, if you can get that performance for $200, those reference cards alone will sell like hotcakes. And maybe somebody will pay $300 to get the 8 gig model, but I mean, that's like a 50% premium, you know. AMD did mention that their cards would, that's where I'm getting the figure from. They mentioned at their presentation that the cards would swing from about $100 to $300, so somewhere in between there. And if their highest reference card is only $200, then that means the partners could potentially, you know, the PCB, you know, board partners could, you know, make one with a $100 markup. I don't know. Like I said, if the performance is to be believed, I'll be just happy with the reference card. Save $100. I mean, now, if you're curious to see some of AMD's own press announcements, they are included in the description of this video, so you can see for yourself exactly what AMD had to say. Now, of course, we take all of this with a mouthful of salt. Now, when NVIDIA showed off their GTX 1080, oh my gosh, they showed us things that had people screaming, you know, 100% performance over the previous 980 Ti, and you're running at 62C, you know, and everybody's so happy and screaming, and you know what? Nobody has been able to reproduce the demonstration that NVIDIA put on since then. Everyone's like, it runs so hot! So, anytime you overclock a card, by the way, it was overclocked for that demonstration, it's a bit of a silicon lottery. So you buy a couple of cards, and you hope, you cross your little paws, and you hope that maybe you got one that will overclock. They'll all make their base performance, but it kind of varies from one chip to the next, and it's not documented in any way that you can kind of quantify. It's just some chips come out of the fabrication process able to work harder and hotter than other ones. Well, if you're buying your cards one at a time, maybe you can select from a couple, maybe 3 or 4 cards if you've got some extra disposable income. But if you're NVIDIA, well, some guy in the back, just imagine, you know, with a pile of chips. He's like, you know, and he's putting them on the thing and testing them to see if their overclockability, you know. And so they're like, well, this isn't going to be no silicon lottery. We're going to win the lottery because we run the lottery. So chips run off the fabrication assembly line, and the guy sits there and tests them for overclockability, suitability, and is like, nope, 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 nope. Oh hell, nope, 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 nope. Maybe. Getting warmer, getting warmer. Ta-da! I found the chip. I found the chip that the chairman is going to show to everybody, and all those silly gamers, they'll think that if they buy our chips, they can do the same thing. Ha 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 ha. Well, so far no one's been able to reproduce it, so who knows what the heck it was that NVIDIA was showing us. I mean, it really did run at around, it was less than 70 degrees Celsius. And it was overclocked, and it did all kinds of crazy stuff, but no one seems to be able to reproduce that. Who knows? Maybe if you go above the Arctic Circle and you open the windows in your little, computer room, sit there in your Eskimo outfit, you too can overclock the way NVIDIA does in their presentations. Now, I'm hoping, please, I'm hoping, AMD, learn from NVIDIA's mistakes. Don't let your claims about the RX 480 be nonsense, because this is a little free advice for NVIDIA. You don't even have to send me a marketing consulting check, but whoever it is in your PR department who thought it was a good idea to cook up results that made everybody freak out, only for us to try to verify them later and find out that they were all bunk, that just makes people mad. That just makes people think that everything you say is a lie. Don't do that. It's a bad idea. So hopefully AMD is too lazy to cook the books, and the tests that we're seeing are true. Because if they're anywhere near true, the RX 480 is going to sell like there's no tomorrow. Now here's the other reason why I say to wait. Even if you're still not sold on Team Radeon here, and you're like, I'm going to stick with NVIDIA, it's a known quantity. Well, as the 1080s come out, everybody's taking a wait-and-see approach, even if they're not going to buy these darn things, because, maybe we'll see a nice 1060 pushed out the door if the RX 480 looks too attractive, being a little cheaper, for the average guy, but with more performance, and it's got that NVIDIA logo, so that's what you really want, right? Well, meanwhile, there are all these 900 series cards that are sitting around in people's warehouses getting cheaper. I'll tell you a good example. The card that I'm recording on now, it's a Gigabyte G1 overclocked 980 Ti. This card, when I bought it 11 months ago, $689. I checked. Today, as of today, I think it's $639. So the prices are coming down, and I bet they come down even further. There are other models of the 980 Ti, lesser ones, that can be had for as little as $609. So if you're out there rocking, we've got people that I play with that have 400 series cards, 500, maybe 6 or even 700 series cards. This might be the time. This might be the time coming up very soon where you can pick up a 900 series car on fire sale as they try to clear out their stocks to make room for the incoming 1000 series cards. Nobody wants to get stuck with those things when NVIDIA finally says, all right, that's it for those things. In fact, I would expect to see a product obsolescence announcement from NVIDIA any day now, where they say, that's it, no more of that 900 nonsense. Yeah, you're going to buy our 1000 series cards or nothing. Meanwhile, NVIDIA, I'm curious to see how much of the market they get versus those little 480s, AMD might be really bringing it to them at that $200 price point. And like I said, that's their most expensive reference card. And the partners will probably go up to 300 maybe. But, woo! The 460 and the 470, that they're just going to be kidney punching NVIDIA. We'll see. This might be a new dawn for AMD's Radeon division. Let's see. Fingers crossed, paws crossed, everything crossed. that it works as advertised. Because if it does, AMD is back.